Welcome back to a hobby overview. Today I want to talk about different ways how you can cook for yourself when you're hiking or bikepacking or just exploring the outdoors. So before I start with this video, I must warn you because it could be quite a long video, I think. I really like this part of the hobby, and I'm somehow a tech junkie for everything that has to do with this fire making and cooking on the trails. And I just want to give you a brief overview what to expect from this video. First, I want to start by explaining a few methods how you can do fire, how you can ignite the fire. Then, of course, if you talk about cookware and cooking supplies, you have to talk about the fuels that are out there that you can use. Then I want to get into details with the different burners that you have. And also I've got quite a collection of cookware here, so I want to give a little overview over that and my thoughts on it. So the first part of the video is how you can ignite the fire. There are different ways. Of course, you can use matches. There are fire steels. I think they are well known. Normal fire lighters, but there are also some other ways, like this metal striker, with which you can then ignite some charcoal pieces that I made my own, and this is just here in Altoids metal box where you can char some old cloth, and they take the sparks from the firestone, and afterwards you need something like wool or perhaps some very fine material that you can then transfer the spark over to and ignite it. So the other thing, of course, you can do all sorts of feathering and do some little shavings using just wood. But there's also this, it's called Kienspan, where I live. It's wood that is saturated, how it's called? Saturated with some like wax material of the tree, and this burns very well. Even they could burn if you do shavings of it, if it's really wet outside. And this is a great opportunity. You can buy them like this, or you can find them for yourself, and you can really good ignite campfires with it. So the other thing that's beneficial is if you have something like a saw, or I've got a small hand axe here, and also some stable knives like this Moria, where you can then baton with and make yourself some small kindling to start a campfire. But today I do not want to talk about campfire. I want to talk about stoves. And if you talk about stoves, the most common fuels I've got here. This is Esbit. Esbit is a very old company. They produce these blocks of Esbit. It's a dry fuel. You just take them out of these little packages. There are more of these packages in the box. The problem with this is that it stings a little bit, so you would have to keep them in a closed enclosure when you are putting them in your backpack. Otherwise, it's great because it cannot spill. So, and they here have indentations so that you can break them up into smaller pieces quite easily. And if you just start with this hobby, then that could be really a cheap option. But the problem with Esbit is that the potential for the burning is really bad. So you need to have quite a lot of time to boil some water, for example, with it. And if you are in a very cold environment, perhaps the water doesn't boil at all. So this is I think from the potential of the heat of the flame and everything, it's the worst that you can have, but it's also the easiest to handle and to take with you. So the other thing that you can get is, I think in English it's called white spirits, in German it's called spiritus, and you can get it here in every supermarket, because for us we are using it to do to do raclette or fondue with it. So you put it in a Richaud and heat up the pots for that meals, this family meals. And yeah, these bottles are really fragile. So there are special bottles out there, like the Strangia bottles, that are reinforced, so they can't be punctured, and also the pressure is a much better hold in them. You can get them just with this screw-on lids, but it's really beneficial if you think about buying them, that you buy the ones that have this nice way to fill up your stove. So this here screws open, and then when you push on it, it open a valve, and then you can just perfectly get small amounts of the spirits out of this bottle. So you just rotate it like 90 degrees, and then you can push and dose how much spirit you want to have in the stove. So the other thing that you can get is gas, and for gas you must know the mixture of the gas tells how good it can burn in different environments. So there are summer gas bottles like this one, but there's also winter gas. So this gas is a mixture of butane and propane, and how they mix that in this bottle, it gives different temperatures where it can boil or freeze. So if you are in a perhaps a hike that is really cold, like minus 10 degrees Celsius, then this, from my experience, wouldn't work anymore. Also, the spirits will have really problems to ignite, and then you can just use a fuel stove. So this is cleaned fuel. You can buy it as this, or it's really the normal fuel. You can go to any gas station and take fuel, and the problem with the fuel from the gas station is that they add some how it's called, they add adhesives, I think, no, additives to the fuel, and also the fuel at the gas station isn't really clean, so there are particles in it, and so if you don't use clean fuel, then the stove could clog up a little bit more, but that's normal for that stove, so there's always a cleaning tool for the nozzles in that set, so that you can clean the valves and everything, and use it with normal fuel. So to start with, this is here a real Esbit kit. They sell small sets like this. In my opinion, it's a good form factor to have. Let's see if I can do it. No. So this is a pot that you have, and also there is the stove in it, and you can then burn. I will show it to you. So as I already said, Esbit stinks a little bit, and so if you burn Esbit in a stove, the stove takes on that smell, and also it doesn't taste very well. So I put it in a bag while putting it in this pot, because otherwise this is a pot I'm cooking in, and otherwise it would be problematic if I put them inside. And here is also some place to do in the back, of course, some of the fuel. It's quite a small pack to take with you, but there are even smaller Esbit stoves out there, and you can take then any pot that you want to take with you. So the other thing that's out there is this Trangia set. Trangia is a Scandinavian firm, I think. They are really old, and the sets exist in different versions. There's an aluminium version. There's also like this anodized steel version that I own, which also have a non-stick pen with it. And the sets are quite heavy, but the nice thing is that if you burn the spirits with this burner, so this is a burner in the set. I've got more than one of them. So here I have the other one, for example. And this burner is really, really quiet, because the spirit burns really quiet, and you just put some of it here into the middle, and then it boils up, and here are some jets that perhaps you on the video can't see, but after it has after it got to a certain temperature, the flame isn't in the middle anymore, but comes out of the jets. And this here is a cap to smoother the stove a little bit, so that you can do a more slower burn, like a simmer or something, but it's really unhandy. The problem is you can't really regulate the stoves very much. In my opinion, it's a good way to boil water. Therefore, it's really a nice stove, because you have, if I'm in the woods and want to burn some water, I don't want to have a jet engine next to me. I want to enjoy the silence of the woods, and this is the perfect thing for that. And there are some cheap metal constructions like this that you can buy, so that the burner itself gets to be a whole stove. You just put a pot on it, and it supports itself. It's not so wind stable in this configuration, but also functions very well. Then the next type of stoves that I own, this is here from the firma Solo Stove, are hobo stoves. So this is a wood burning stove that you will fuel with wood, not such a big one, but you put some small branches in it, and here from the side you can then, when the pot stands on it, feed it with little sticks or other wood shavings, and it will burn quite nicely. And the fuel is all around if you are in the woods. You can just take this with you. Another benefit that I often use is the Trangia fits quite nicely in here. So it could be like a wind block for the Trangia, and then if I want to use wood with it, I also got this one with me. So this is normally like a combination that I would take with me, and because it's quite fun, and I often take a little bit more weight with me and have some more of this cooking supplies with me as I perhaps need, but it's just because it's important for me, and I like it, and so I take the extra weight. Then the next thing you can have are campfire things, like some grates that you can put directly on a campfire, or here this is a telescopic fork, something like that. You can really, it's I think 2 meters long, so I can extend it and cook directly over the campfire. And if you put it back all together, the fork is hold within this wood block, so that you don't have the problem with destroying something in your backpack, and it's easy to take with you, and they are quite cheap to buy. The other thing then here is a small gas stove that I own. I like the company Primus a lot. They are a very old company that are specialized in gas stoves, but today there are so much more manufacturers out there that produce really nice gas stoves. I own this quite some time. For me, one benefit is that this one has an igniter on it. So if I take away this windshield, then I can here reach around, and you will see it's a piezo type thing that does a little spark. And okay, I could just ignite it here perhaps to show you. It's really handy because you've got everything with you, and a really good thing is that you can get a quite low flame with it. So this is really a stove where you can simmer something very well, but also if you turn it all up, then you can boil really fast. But in this configuration you will get through the gas canisters really fast. So normally I put it on half setting perhaps, and burn with that. So that is already one of the a little bit more noisy stoves. I think it's still okay for a stove. And now we are coming to the really noisy ones, and that's the gas stoves. So let me just quickly connect one of the gas canisters to it so I can show you. One moment. Ooh. So this is a multi-fuel version of a stove. So the multi-fuel means that you can screw on a gas canister, or you can screw on this bottle. You will need such a bottle to pressurize this bottle, and because the fuel itself must be transported to the stove, and you see here is a loop in the stove that gasifies the fuel. So these stoves must be primed. Here's a little fire resistant clause in the stove, and you just put a few drops of the fuel on it. You turn on the valve for a little moment to get some fuel on it and ignite this fuel, and the stove must be completely warm before you can ignite it. And if I use gas with it, it's not a problem because I can just ignite it with a lighter. If I not turn it up so much. Come on. Yeah, that's the problem with it. So it's quite now. So this stove is quite noisy. This is the smallest setting. So if I turn it up, it's, you see, and this is only with gas. So if you use it with fuel, it's even a bit louder in my opinion. And why do I have this one? This one is it works in every condition. So you can use it with fuel, you can use it with gas, you can use it with petrol, but then you have to change the jet first. But you can use this under -10°C, so this will burn in every condition. But as you heard, it's quite noisy while doing it, and so I don't take this one with me on a normal hike, and but it's an option. So I just wanted to present that. And then I came to another topic here, like the cookware. And for me, an easy way, if it's possible to make a campfire, and it's not the season where it's dangerous, then you can just take some cookware to stand directly at the fire or on the fire. And this is, for example, here some metal mug. You can get bigger pots like this. This is also the pot that comes with a set for the solo stove. So the solo stove will perfectly fit into this pot. And there's also some packaging with a set that you can, like the Esbit set, pack them inside another. And the other thing is, I love this Clean Canteen metal bottles, because if you take the lid away, and there are for fishing, this is here which fish is this? I don't know. You can buy this really cheap. They are normally to hang a fish from his mouth, and I just removed the rubber caps from the ends, and so you can then hang this bottle over the campfire with a stick or a construction, and this is really holding the bottle very nice. So this is an option. If you just take the water bottle with you, you can cook or perhaps clean water by boiling it, and it's quite a nice set to have with you. The other thing is take some insulated mugs with you so that you can hold whatever you want to drink. It's a good idea in my opinion. There are also some cook pot sets that are really nice to. This one is here a set I bought for the Primus. It's also from Primus, this set, and quite nice to use, and you get a pan out of it here. It's non-stick for perhaps an egg at the morning or something like that. But you can also whistle some supplies while being out. This, for example, is an easy spatula I've got, or here I've carved with a knife a little spoon for myself. Otherwise, there are, for example, this sporks. That's quite handy because you've got a knife, a fork, and a spoon on this. What I like to take are also some small supplies. So this fits perfectly into the Trangia set. I've got that one always with me in that set. And a nice supplier of cookware, in my opinion, is Stanley. So I've got also the thermos from them, because here you've got everything in one set. So here you can cut on. Then here there's also some supplies for cooking that you can clip together. And also here is a pan in the set. From there are two. This is a two-person set, and from this pan you then can eat like rice or something. And in the end, you've got, of course, the pot that has a nice handle. And also I've got here the same in a pan configuration. So there are also all supplies in the set that you need for cooking. And but it's a little bit more on the heavy side because this pan got a good ground on it that distributes the heat quite well. That's really a problem if you have this thin pans that you get a spot heat and the things tend to burn on it. But if you got a pan with a little bit heavier bottom, then you don't have that problem. So yeah, also I've got here like Optimus. It's another firm that also produces gas stoves and other stoves. And this is always also a cookware set where you just got pots and some supplies in it. I put some racks and some sponges in such a set like this, and this was really a long time my companion on hikes. And it's quite nice. It got this neoprene shell, so you can save some fuel with it by cooking like rice or something, and then put it in the neoprene, and it holds the temperature and can then it can cook through afterwards. After you don't have to fire it the whole time. It holds the temperature so that rice or mostly rice I cooked with it then can cook afterwards. And then here's a little fun thing to do, because not everybody perhaps would take something like this with him on a hike, but I really like coffee. So this is here a Bodum 2-person French press that you can take with you, or there are also this mocha pots out there. It's Bialetti is an old brand that also produces this in another configuration where it's aluminium, but because of the high heats that you get from the stoves, I would prefer always the stainless steel version, because the stainless steel version doesn't produce this metallic flavor. And also, in my opinion, aluminium is said to have to do with Alzheimer's, so I really like stainless steel supplies. And this here is coffee grinder where you can hand grind coffee on the trail. I just pre-fill it with coffee beans and take it with me, and then you can just grind the coffee directly fresh and have a nice cup of French press coffee on the trail. It's a fun thing to do. If I would hike more kilometers, I wouldn't take the weight with me, but I'm mostly a weekend hiker, and so it could be quite fun to have that with you. And in the end, one thing I want to mention, that's really a thing most people forget, is you can just take a hot tea, a hot coffee, or hot water with you. So there are also different types of supplies for keeping things hot. You can even get that pots for keeping or taking meals with you, pre-packed, and they are then warm. It's also a great thing because we often have here the case that there's a fire hazard, and so if you don't am allowed to use open fire in the woods, of course I then take pre-packed warm supplies with me. But and the other thing is, if it's really hot summer where most of the time this fire hazard appears, you sometimes then are more likely take a cold beverage with you. So that's also a great way to keep your supplies cold. And that's the whole overview of what I own, and what I can now recommend is, in my opinion, the trendier stove with this little crosses. It's a great way and a cheap way to get into this whole thing. Also, quite easy to use are the gas stoves. These canisters can be a little bit hard to get where you live, so you have to perhaps look that up first if they are available. And in my opinion, the multi-fuel stoves, or where you use fuel, are more for expeditions and some serious things where you really depend on them. But for this normal weekend hiking, I wouldn't recommend that version. Yeah, so thank you for watching till this point. Have a nice day, and have fun traveling, and have fun being in the outdoors. And thank you for watching. Bye.